Yoo-hoo! Hey guys, welcome back to episode 82. Alright guys, we're back again. I feel like I haven't done one of these in a while because just kind of went on a hiatus as far as mentally, just not wanting to do these. Not wanting to do them, just my health issues and stuff. So I've been just reaching out to find more guests, and I found a few people, and our next guest, found her on a Facebook group. We just started talking a few minutes ago, and we were having a really great conversation, and so I wanted to introduce her. So you want to tell us your name and obviously a little bit about yourself?
Hey everybody, my name is Christina Steiny, but you can call me C-Bunny. I am severely hearing impaired in both ears. I wear hearing aids, but despite my disability, I have an extreme passion for performing. I love hip-hop dancing. I was a professional wrestler. Right now, I'm definitely a professional DJ. I'm just doing everything I can to show the world that you, regardless of your disability, you can still feel like a rock star. Thanks for having me, by the way.
Of course, yeah. I love your energy. It's always good to have people, because one of the things doing this, when I started to interview people, not my friends, but the ones that, when I started finding new people, you run into the people that are like, yeah, I have a disability and life sucks, and that's about it. And look, I'm not saying that we don't all feel that way sometimes, but that's not inspiring anybody. That's actually making people really want to kill themselves. I don't want that. I want people to actually understand that having a disability is not the end all be all, and you can survive. And again, we all have different disabilities. You and I are lucky that we can walk and we can talk, and
Absolutely.
You can hear some, I can see some. You're not deaf and I'm not blind, and so you and I are fortunate in a lot of ways. But our lives are still hard, and so what I love about you is that you're so just kind of bubbly, and you're just out there just like, screw it. I have a disability. I'm going to live with it. And, life can suck sometimes, but
it wasn't always like that. It took a while to get here.
Right. So why don't we start from the beginning? So were you born with your hearing impairment?
Yeah, I was born hearing impaired. But I'm still young, guys, but I was born in the 80s, so they did not have the hearing test from birth to tell if there was any issues. So my parents didn't find out until I was 2 or 3, and what they noticed was I have a twin sister, and she's not hearing impaired, but it's interesting. You could see we're both born on the same day, but you could see there was a difference in our developmental pattern, and they started to notice that I wasn't listening. It's funny, they thought I was being disobedient. I just didn't hear them. And then once they brought me to the doctor, they said your daughter's hearing impaired. And again, it was in the 80s. They weren't sure what to do with me. Do you put me in an all deaf school, or do you put me in a program? And being hearing impaired is very complicated, because I tell people just because I have my hearing aid in doesn't mean I hear perfectly. So I have one foot in the hearing world and one foot in the deaf world. I don't fit in either, and it's complicated. And I don't do sign language. I do very little, but people be like, "Oh, I learned sign language," and I'm like, "But I don't sign. When did I ever sign?"
Yeah, no, it's kind of very parallel to my life, because I kind of just kind of got in there and dibble dabbled with Braille and canes and mobility training and these different things. But a lot with Braille, I was on such a high reading level in high school, and then I'm reading the boy named John went to the store to get ice cream.
Oh my God.
And it was killing me because I was feeling, stupid. And so I kind of got away from a lot of that stuff. And I think there was some real he thinks he's too good to be blind or visually impaired. And it's no, man, it's not that. I can't fake this shit. I am what I am. But I'm also trying to still feel some normalcy in life. And so, yeah, no,
absolutely.
I completely understand.
Well, I wanted to pay you back on that. When I was in high school, I tried a program where they had a hearing impaired deaf program in a public school. And I remember leaving and feeling so pissed off, because I felt like I was being babied. I'm no, I want to be, this is a hearing world, and I want to be independent. And I just resonated with you 100%. And I feel like what you and I can relate to is that if you say you're blind and I say I'm hearing impaired, people don't get that it's a spectrum. Like, I know people that are legally blind that can drive cars. Like, it's not just a simple answer there. So people automatically will go to, oh, you need a walking cane? Oh, you need sign language? No, you're not getting it. But it's still hard.
Yeah, I've gotten many times like, well, you don't look blind. I'm like, I'm not blind. I said, I'm
How does a
legally
blind
blind.
person look?
Well, because it's the cane, it's the dark glasses, it's the dog, you know. And look, I'd love to have a dog walking around with me, but not because of that. I just love animals. But
I know.
it's, you know, it's one of those where, you know, if you have to look a certain way, you know.
Oh, people say that to me. You don't look deaf, and I'm like, what the hell does a deaf person look like?
Yeah, people have their thought process on what they see in social media or movies or whatever, and it's like,
yeah,
especially movies, it's like, you understand the representation of us is never usually us. It's usually someone else. It's usually someone.
I know, 100%.
Yeah.
That's what I struggled growing up, is that I never saw a hearing impaired actress or musician. Like, I didn't have anybody on TV. I didn't have anybody to really look up to. And I think that's what motivated me to be a performer and to, like, you know, videos and stuff, because I want people to have a visual. It's going to be okay. It's hard now. Your disability is not your finish line.
Yeah, no, exactly. My stupid phone I forgot to put my phone on mute because my phone is hooked up to this podcast board through Bluetooth. So
Okay.
any sound that goes, also an ESPN chime just went off, and God, no, I'm sure it's not important.
I think the Braves won.
Well, yeah, but they won yesterday, so that shouldn't be a problem. And it's just, yeah, it threw me off, and I'm sure you won't hear it, but everyone else will probably hear it. Now my cat's climbing on me.
I agree.
But yeah, so I mean, you're not. I don't know how old you are, but you look young.
Thank you.
But yeah, like when did you kind of know early on, like when you were like, whether it was school or whatever, that you were actually different from like the average kid?
When I was in first grade, and it was one of the first times that me and my twins. That is a great question. I love it. When I was in first grade, it was the first time that I remember that me and my twin were separated, and I was in this much smaller class, so I'm sure that was like the special education class, and my sister was in like the crowded class, and I just didn't get, like, why am I in this class and not that class? Mm-hmm. And I just noticed everybody around me, quote unquote, to society was different. And that really resonated with me. And then when I got older, third grade, I got an FM system, and they were hooked it to my hearing aid, and it looked like a giant wire necklace. And everybody kept staring at me, and I'm like, what is going on here? And then I was being made fun of for my voice. They're like, you sound different. I was like, wait, what do you mean I sound different? And I will always be forever offended when people make comments on my voice. I think it's so incredibly inappropriate. But it all goes back to, wow, you just woke me up. That's probably why I'm so offended, because that was the first indication that I was different. Thank you for that mental.
I'm sorry.
Epiphany there.
No, you're good. Like I said, you're a very cute girl. You'll be all right. But it's no. I mean, you know, yeah. I didn't have to go through those classes being visually impaired, and I know I don't have a speech impediment, so there's certain things that kind of, and I had enough people around me kind of pushing me in the right way. But I did go into some visually impaired classes, and then there was like this other side of the hallway where they were called non-VI classes. There was VI and non-VI, the visually impaired and the non-visually impaired classes, and those were where they were teaching the real work. And we were getting, like, when I was in fifth grade, I was getting fourth and third grade work, and I was too advanced for that class, so they had to move. I had a vision itinerary. Actually, I had her on the podcast. She was one of my former teachers. She really looked out for me, and she got me into these classes, which at the time I was so, like, I was just new, and I knew everybody in those other classes. So now, I mean, I wasn't a social butterfly, so it was really hard to be in those classes. So I didn't really do as well as I was doing in those others, but it was needed for me to kind of spread my wings and get out of there. But yeah, I mean, you gotta kind of, being different is, especially early on. I remember like I would wear like really short shorts, not like really short like girls would wear, but it was they weren't
Stupid, short, short.
right. That was me, but they weren't below my knees, and so at the time, so then
Oh,
I
so
started.
like soccer shorts.
Yeah, so they would tease me, and so then I had to change that up, and I was always trying to be something else. And again, I was in like fifth grade or whatever, so who cares?
Yeah, yeah.
But so, being different, like, and this is like, maybe you're probably not gonna get a politically correct answer out of this because there's certain people with disabilities, especially ones that get put in those certain classes that you were put in. Um, how like, because you're around people who are bobbing back and forth and they're making noises, and of course they have their struggles, and I feel horrible for them, people with special needs and autism and so on. And you're a person who other than your hearing problem and your little bit of a speech impediment, you're relatively normal. Like, how do you
Like
feel?
functional.
Yeah, like how do you feel being in those classes with all these other people who, obviously these classes are made for them specifically, but for you, you're just there because people don't really know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I hated school. I'll never go back to it because, I mean, my IEP was getting violated all the time. School is very loud. Like you just brought it up, the background noises, just everything. It's so difficult to comprehend things. And also on a social level, I didn't speak as well as I did now. Like I got a ton of intensive speech therapy, but I couldn't communicate with people because also them being kids, there was no patience. Like they would say something, I'd be like, "What did you say?" And they say it again. I'm like, "What did you say again?" And then they'll say either "never mind" or "I'll tell you later." And those two phrases always kind of like jabbed at me because that says I don't have the patience for you to know what's going on. So I always felt alone.
Right. Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, because I've been around certain, like there was a school when I went to high school that someone got me like one of those little cheese buses, and so I was on them, and people were trying to make fun of me. I was a little more confident with my skin at that point, where people were like, "Oh, you gotta get on these little cheese buses," and it's like, yeah, but like while you're in the freezing cold, I have heat, and while you're in the hot. The heat, I have air conditioner, and we also go pick up smoothies. But so they would pick up me and another kid from this really good school, and then they would go pick up all these people with special needs. So I would help them on the bus and all that. And
Aw.
but there was a part of me that was kind of embarrassed to be on there because I'm around all these people that are bobbing back and forth and doing all these noises. And now I wouldn't care.
I understand what you mean.
Yeah, and so I'm one of the top kids in the school as far as grades at that point in time, and I'm seeing people are like knocking on the windows, and I'm just trying to hide because I just felt so uncomfortable because it's like I was trying to get away from, like, I'm not this. I'm just on here because someone got me a luxury to just get a bus, so I didn't have to take the transit system and stuff, which I probably should have done, but yeah, I've always wanted.
Oh, I was on the short bus.
Yeah.
Did not want to be on that bus.
Yeah, no, but you got to evolve at some point, and so eventually I kind of got comfortable with it, but there was still kind of an uncomfortability of being around these people who, I'm perceived to be like just because of my eyes, and I'm trying so hard not to be like them, even though in some ways we are similar, but also it's like now people don't want to see past my grades, don't want to see past what I can bring to the table. It's oh, you're slow too, and then the older you get, then you start to try to get jobs, you start to do things, and there's always somebody's they're going to perceive you as slow because, like in my case, I look close at a phone, or you do something with your hearing that makes people go, oh, she's slow, and it's like, dude, like I don't know how you translate that to that, but just talk to me, and you'll know.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
So when we fill out job applications, and I've always wondered, like, and I still don't know what the right decision is today, but do you bring up your disability before you get hired for a job, or you don't? Like, I always feel like sometimes when I write disability on paper, it prevents people from looking at the rest of my resume.
Yeah, so I never did that with jobs because, like, but like in a comparison, and I'll bring it back to the job part, but I once, when I was like early on and I was young and trying to like date and stuff, I would try not to tell the girl about my eye condition just to see if they would treat me any differently. And then like a couple weeks in or a month or whatever, I would go, hey, I got a vision problem, and see if anything was different. But then I hated that, because then I felt like I was just being fake and I was hiding. And I was never a liar, and I never liked to fake anything. So, and so then bring it back to the jobs. Now I've had a consistent job for some years now, but when I was trying to find jobs somewhere in the middle there, and then before, I would just kind of, I would do the beginning parts and all that, and then somewhere in the middle, because especially when you have to if you have to sign any paperwork or fill out certain things, some of these places have like forms, and you got to write down what you would do in this situation or that, and so then with me, I have to look closer to do it, and so I knew I couldn't. There's certain parts I couldn't fake, depending on the application. So, so then I would just I'm like, look, I have a vision problem. So like I remember trying to get a job at Lowe's. And I was talking to a guy, and he was cool about everything. And he was just asking me, what would you do in this situation if you have this employee and that? And so I gave him all my obstacles of working with other people with disabilities, where I worked with a blind guy, and the post office would bring in all these green containers, which are these books on tape for the blind, and they would come in these heavy containers. And so my right eye is okay. And my left eye is basically all colors and motions, but the other guy I'm with is totally blind. So we have to pull all these heavy containers, I don't know how many feet, but a decent amount of feet. And so we came up with an idea that I would hold on one, he would hold on to the back, and he would pull a container himself. And so I learned how to work with a guy who was totally blind, and I worked with a guy who had like one arm and all these different things. And so I was using all these analogies of how I work with people that most people would consider hard to work with based on, on face value, just right up front. You would go like, oh, okay, I don't know how to work with that. And so I used all these examples, and also using my own experiences with my own eyes and just how I would do this. So I couldn't hide it. And I was just up front with it. But yeah, it's going to turn a lot of people off. It really is.
No, yeah, but you just made the point to everybody who is hesitant on hiring somebody with a disability. We're going to get the job done. It's just going to be in a different way.
Yeah, and
So what's the end result there? Getting the job done.
Yeah, and I know so many people that are like, oh, my son just, he lost another $20 an hour job for this and that. And it's like, you understand how, like, if you gave a person with a disability who can really do the job, he's going to hold on to that job. He's going to be very loyal to you, and he's going to put
100%.
And he's going to put 1,000 times more effort in, because he has to, and because he's trying to prove himself, not only you, that he can do it, or her. And so they don't understand that stuff. They don't understand loyalty. They don't understand, because it's all about greed and money, and and they just and some of these places they we haven't gotten to a place where if you see Walmart or some of these places, it's like, well, oh my God, we don't have enough black people in here. We got to hire like 2 of them just because we have to look good, or we have to hire a gay guy, or we have to hire a woman, or they have these little weird, of course, they're still sexist, they're still racist, there's still these things, but we aren't one of those. Like, we aren't like, oh, we got to hire.
That's what I wonder. Are we, like, when I did, a government type job, and they asked you to put down if you have a disability, and I do wonder, like, do some people actually have, like, that quota that they need a certain amount of
I doubt it.
People in A, B, and C, but that's not what I want to be hired for.
No, I know. But I'm saying we're not even that. That's how bad it is. We're not even that. And so no one wants to really hire us. And I mean, there's certain places, like we have a grocery store here called Wegmans that is known for hiring, especially people with special needs, to bag groceries and stuff like that. And they're known to hire people with disabilities, which is great. And obviously you have a lot of nonprofits that are kind of forced to hire us because they base it around us. But, yeah, and that I know of, and again, maybe other countries, I don't know, but I've never heard of any, like, oh, we have to have at least 3 blind guys or deaf people or just people with disabilities. I haven't heard of it. And look, I don't want that either. I don't want to be just some statistic or some quota that I got to fill. But we're not even at that point. So how the hell are we going to get to the point where we, as we said off air about how many people are unemployed in our community, how are we going to get more of us employed? Because a lot of people look at us like we're just these lazy people that just collect disability, and they don't understand the restrictions behind disability and how much we can make and all that nonsense. So
No, and they bring it up to me all the time. Why do you want to go on disability? And I'm like, I can walk, I can move. Like, why do I can work. And then I always tell them, I'm like, disability is nothing. I was like, I could not live off of disability alone. So you want me to be conditioned to being extremely limited? Like, no, I wanna have a successful career. I wanna buy a house. I wanna do all this stuff that everybody else does. I don't wanna rely on having disability and my whole life being dependent on a check from the government coming through. Like, it's not, I'm not putting down people that can't actually work, but I know that it's my hearing that's affected, but everything else works in my body, and I want to do it.
Yeah, no, I hear it. Yeah, you start to feel more disabled than you are when you start to talk to people who make you feel that way, because you're just like, I know my eyes suck, and it's not the greatest, but like I can do anything else. And so then I always try much harder, and sometimes I end up more sore than I need to do when I do a lot of my physical tasks at work. And I'm like, why did I push so hard? Who am I proving this to? No one's even watching. Like, who cares?
Yep.
Like, and I realized I'm battling my own inner demons, my own self, just because I want to prove that I belong in this dumb world, or I belong in this job, or whatever I'm doing. And it's like, nah, man, like, you got to slow down. You really are going to be disabled in a different way if you keep pushing your back and all these different things. Like, just stop worrying about what other people think. Who cares? Because people are going to think
it's easier said and done, because you don't want to worry what people think, but the way people think affects how you get your job. The way people think affects your relationship, right? You're trying to find, it's like a needle in a haystack. So you're trying to find a genuine person that just wants to hire a good employee, a genuine person that wants to be with a great man, despite any of the disabilities. So that's where it gets hard on, because it does depend on other people, even though we're doing our part. It depends on other people doing their part that they have to do.
Right. So let's go back to you. Like, what was like high school like for you?
Oh my God, it was terrible. So, sorry, my I did not. So I was in the. I felt like I fit in for a little bit because I played the drums at the time. So when I started performing, it was the first time everybody saw me as something other than the impaired girl. So at the time, I was into playing the drums, so I was in the marching band, but I ended up getting bullied so bad by the boys. Even my band director made me run a lap around the football field because he said I wasn't listening to him enough. Like, I didn't hear him. So I ran laps down the field. I transferred high school like twice. It was just I ended up graduating early. Like, that's how bad high school was. And I'm hoping now everything is a lot better in the school system, because for some reason there's actually a lot more hearing impaired people now, so they have to cater to them. But as soon as I left high school, I just said I just want to be a performer, and I ended up working for Six Flags Great Adventure Entertainment Department. I ended up going to New York every single week for dance lessons and auditions. But school really, I think I'm over it for the most part. But school had really damaged the foundation of my life, where 3 years ago, I almost ended up committing suicide. And I remember my mom's like, she's like trying to help me. And I literally said to her, like, my disability ruins my life, because I will do everything in my power, but because of the disability and other people I'm labeled, it would push me in a corner that I can't succeed.
Right.
So yeah, that's very heavy.
No, you're good. I've talked about my suicide attempt too, so I understand.
No, yeah. So I don't think like that anymore. It's just, this is the problem with a lot of people in the country now. It's like, this is life. Everybody had to struggle. My struggle is not worse or better than yours. Every single person had a struggle, but this is life. And I always say to people when they struggle with like weight and all that, I said, be blessed that you have a solution to your problem. I will always have a disability. It will never change. I will always deal with stupid people. The only thing I can do is live with it.
Yeah.
So
But
I always put that on people. If you have a solution, go for it. But understand, I have to live with it. Like,
no, I got you. Yeah, I mean,
and
that's
you know, the pandemic affects the disability community hardcore.
oh yeah. Well, that's what we were talking about off the air before we got on here. Is that and I'm sure you would agree, is that the hardest part about having a disability is the other stuff. It's not the disability itself. Like the disability sucks. It's not great. Of course, you got the mental health stuff of it, which sucks. But a lot of the mental health stuff that comes with it is the public, is people. It's it's school, it's work, it's even trying to get a job, it's everything else. It's all the hurdles that you have to overcome that shouldn't be there, that kind of magnify your disability more, and it kind of throws it back in your face, and you can't ignore it. Whereas you're trying to just kind of, tiptoe through life, just trying to live a normal life with your disability, knowing you have a disability. But every time, it's kind of like, if everyone's asleep in the house and you're trying to walk in the house without making a noise, and of course you step on that crack in the floor, and then, it makes a noise. And somebody wakes up because you're so trying to just kind of go through life without no problems, beyond the one you already have, and everyone else is just like, you're deaf, you're blind. It's like,
oh yeah. Well, let me give you a basic example so people who are listening could understand. It's not just about like people making fun of us. So the pandemic happened, the mandate the pandemic happened. Everybody in New Jersey got furloughed. For me, who was the head of being a physical therapist, I said no. It's 2 weeks. I cannot believe I believe this, but like 2 weeks to slow this bed. I'm like, you know what? I have a job to do. I'm going to stay and work and be an essential worker. And then the mask mandate happened, and now I was robbed of lip reading. There's no accommodations, nothing. So while people stay at home getting paid twice the money that I am while I'm struggling, like I was like, what the hell? And it was like 4 months of hell, not being able to understand anybody. Then I left, and then I'm still doing everything I can to work. I did, DoorDash, all that didn't work. I finally get this job delivering the mail, and I emailed them saying, I just need you guys to wear clear for the orientation, wear clear masks and your video that has subtitles. That's all I need. I was so excited to finally work again, but mind you, I had to find a job opposite of what I wanted to do because of the mandate with the lip reading, and do a job that I don't want to do because I need to make money. All I said was, please provide these accommodations. They had more than enough time. I show up, nobody's wearing a clear mask, the videos don't have subtitles, and they send me interpreters, which I've never requested for, never said I'm deaf, and they said to you, hey, sorry, we can't provide you accommodations. We have to schedule you for our next orientation. So that means because they couldn't provide the simple accommodation that I asked for and I want to work, I miss out on a month of pay. Like, it's situations like that affect us because we're doing everything I can to be a functional citizen in society, but because you guys are making these dumbass mistakes, it's affecting our lives even worse. Like, a month without a pay is a lot.
right. No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it goes back to like, with all the cancel shit and with like HR, for instance, it's a thing it's needed when it's used for the right thing. You go in there and obviously, like you shouldn't sexually assault somebody. You shouldn't sexually even harass anybody. Obviously, don't be racist. Don't do these things. And you're like, okay, you're making these accommodations and work to not do these things. And so it's like, why can't we just add another one for, okay, this person needs this, and let's just do it. Like, okay, because they have no problem forcing you to what you can say and what you can do. But it's like, why can't you just say like, okay, people, I need you to wear clear mask, or hey, I need you, or even just wear clear mask when they're around you, or and just everything that you need. It's just for one person. And it's like they don't want to make the accommodations for us, but they want to make it for everyone else, and you become like
human resources is not for us. We all know that. It's for the company.
But again, like for me, like we all feel like we're a burden at some point. Like I feel like I'm a burden
Yes.
sometimes because I can't drive because of my condition. So, I always have to have someone drive me around or I have to take transportation or something. But either way, it's still people drive me around. So I always feel like that sometimes, especially with my family and friends. And so, now you're at work, you're trying not to draw attention to yourself. Obviously, you clearly know you're the whatever deaf girl to everyone. And it's like, okay,
Yes.
now and all you want to do is just do your job, make money, and pay your rent. How can you do that if no one wants to help you out? Because now you have to, it's like you feel like you're asking for too much. It's like you're in a relationship and you're asking for loyalty and honesty. And it's like, well, duh, I should want those things. And so like, you're just like, look, all I need you guys to do is just have it so I can work with you. You don't have to.
Well, they don't understand that we don't, it's hard for us to ask for help because we feel like we're not being independent. We don't want to, we have a disability, but we don't want to feel to you guys that we're like a special case and just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we don't want the pat on the head, and we're stuck in this middle ground where it's like we don't want to be the person who just feels like they need to be pushed around in a wheelchair or need like extra help because we are independent, but then our independence always feels like it's being stripped from us when we have to come down to a level and go like, hey, I need you to do a certain thing, and
on the ball.
It sucks because you said, and then that's when your mental game starts. And I've said so many times, like your mind is always one step ahead of you. So every time one of those incidences come up, and you're like, oh, I want to work, and your mind's gonna be like, oh well, watch how this fails, and then you go to work, and this happens.
That's a bad example.
Yeah, and so then your mind will go, see, I told you shouldn't work. See, because they won't listen to you. They don't want to even accommodate you, and even when they do accommodate, it's like, now how stupid do you feel? Like, and your mind is just constantly just beating you up, and you're like, dude, like, I just got past this hurdle. Can you just shut up now? Yeah, and that's why I talk about mental health so much, because there's so much more into it than just the, again, if you're anxious or you're sad or whatever the things that people worry about. There's so much more of the thought process, because if you have a disability, you automatically have some sort of mental health. And, I
won't disagree with that.
Yeah, and everything, again, like I said, it goes back to the disability. The disability already in your head. But if everyone treated you equally and everyone didn't worry about the certain accommodations that you need for your job or just in life, and everyone was just friendly and like, oh, sure, here's this, here's that. Your mind wouldn't be able to go to, oh, see, people suck. Oh, see, I'm never going to fit in and this world isn't made for me. You wouldn't think any of these things if everyone was just kind of friendly and cool about everything. But that's not the way it goes. So your mind a lot of times wins those battles because your mind isn't wrong all the time. I mean,
no. But that's where regular, like, however we want to call it, able-bodied people, they need to. I run into this a lot with Christina. You said you wanted to be equal, and I'm like, yes, but if you don't, like, if I didn't hear them or something, they would pretty much say, like, I'm using my disability as an excuse. And I'm like, no, like, the best way I can explain it to you, like, I need the accommodation. It's like, say we're in a race. Your car has 4 tires. Mine only has 3. Why don't you just give me that tire so I'm on the same level as you guys, and then I can do the same way? That's what I mean. Yeah. And people need to change their mindset that accommodation and being on equality, is being on the same level as you. We're not asking, and for anybody that's asking for like automatic, like a pass on everything they do just because they're disabled, you need to fix your mentality. Just give us the opportunity and let us work for the end result of it. And then that's what we'll suck it up on. If we don't get it, we'll know, okay, we had the accommodation, we put all of our work. Sometimes our work isn't just good enough, just like everybody else, you know what I mean?
Right, and they're always looking for the person to kind of replace you that's better off. But they also look at it like, a lot of people look at people with disabilities from their perspective of what it's like to be missing a leg or can't hear or whatever. And they're like, well, I couldn't do that. I physically or I mentally can't do this. I can't even fathom how someone can do something totally blind or totally deaf. And it's like, yeah, but that's your mindset. You don't have to live with that. Thank God for you that you don't have to.
Amen.
So stop projecting it on me, because there's people that do amazing things all the time with less. And those are the people that are warriors and just fight every damn day. So I don't just because you can't do it, just be grateful that you don't have to, but don't make my life harder because you mentally can't do it. And so it's just like, give us the accommodations. And if we fail, no one's going to be harder on us than us. So if we fail, it's on us. It's not on you.
Yeah, I feel like that's their way of saying, like, I'm sorry. I feel like we need to be more blunt to regular people about, it's okay to say this. It's not okay to say this. I feel like people just don't know. And even me as a hearing impaired person, I don't know, like somebody that happens to be bound in a wheelchair, I still don't know what the correct terminology is and whatnot. I feel like, and it's like what we talked about off the air, a lot of us need to be more verbal about the community.
No, yeah, we have to be, but we also,
but not in a cancel culture way, in a cool, like having an adult conversation type of way. You know, that's how I'll like reach out to people.
Yeah, and support each other, reach out to others, and not just
like this podcast.
Yeah, well, like when I started this, I started doing this, and I wanted to listen to what other podcasts were doing. So I'd hear other visually impaired podcasts, and they would only stick to their visual impairment or whatever their disability was. They would stick to that, and it just felt wrong to me because I realized there's such a bigger community. There's so many of us that it's like, why can't we all just support each other? Like just because I don't know what it's like to not have legs or have a hearing problem or be really short or whatever, I do know what it's like to struggle. I do know what it's like to be in pain. I do know what it's like to deal with mental health. I do know what it's like to be discriminated against. I do know all the things that you went through. Just the physical part or the body part is different. So why is it any different? Why can't I support you in your chronic pain? Why can't I support you in anything? Like, it's the same shit in a different way. And we can all come together on the things that we all bond on. You and I are different in certain ways, but we're also similar in a lot of ways. So why can't we just stick to the similar things? Because, as I've said many times, we're all compared to the guy in the wheelchair logo. We're all that guy, even though the majority of us are not in wheelchairs as far as people with disabilities.
Yeah. Well, think of it. Yeah. They need to know that it's the American Disability Act, not the American Blind, not the American Deaf. It's the Disability Act. That's piggyback on what you're saying. That's why we all need to stick together.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't even, like, I know I've heard a lot of people who are deaf saying that they're not disabled. They just speak a different language. And it's like, look, I like that sentiment, but you're just trying to get away from the fact that you don't want to say that you're like us. And the reality of it,
that's the thing. They're very prideful. I can't say for every deaf people. I'm just speaking on what I experienced. But they're very prideful, and it's fine. Like I feel like they want to make their disability into a positive spin on that. I'm not going to put on it, but they think it's a culture. But when you want to put down deaf people that want to get the cochlear implant to get them hearing, they say you should be proud to be deaf. And, like, some people will get upset with me. I'm like, I'm not proud of being hard of hearing. This disability caused a lot of problems in my life. My life would be a lot easier without it. I get made fun of every effing day. It's not something that I'm proud of. I didn't choose to, like, a malfunctioning of your body is not a culture prideful thing.
Yeah.
And so, but this is just like everywhere else. We need to respect the difference of opinion on how we view things. And we can't extradite people out of the community just because you don't think the same way that you do. Like at, do you know Nigel? He was like this deaf guy from Dancing with the Stars, and he did that Netflix, documentary, that Netflix reality show called Deaf You.
I think I know who you're talking about.
All right, so he's a very popular like deaf like celebrity, and he did this reality show on Gallaudet University, and it just clearly shows that deaf people don't want other deaf people using their voice, like talking. And I'm like, you don't get mad at somebody for not talking. And then Nigel, I give credit where credit is due. When Biden was president, he made sure to have an ASL interpreter at like all the events and for the secretary. I thought that was cool. I'm like, cool. That's a progress. I don't do sign language. I be the crew captain, so it didn't affect me. But I was happy that they were starting to change. And then Nigel, who's part of the deaf community, who should be happy that somebody doing sign language, flipped shit, saying, no, that interpreter is a Republican in real life. And I'm like, see, this is how we can't have nice things, because we finally get what we want and it's not good enough for you. And then you have to make an issue about it.
Yeah.
So, like, there's always going to be self-destructive people in every community. And I think that's why it gets hard for us to, like, come as one. I find it very silly that, like, what, am I not allowed to talk to you because we don't have the same disabilities?
Yeah. No. Yeah. And again, that's where we trip on ourselves and get in our own way. Because there's certain, even just when, again, I'm not going to get into the political shit, but when Biden even came out and actually mentioned disabled people in his one speech, people with disabilities were just losing their shit. It's like, oh, we got mentioned. It's like, yeah, but that, again, it's a start, but that's nothing. Like, whoop-de-doo, we got a mention. Yes. But it's also for political gain. It's also for, to look good. So it's not really much. And it's like, and then you go, well, wait till he's in and wait to see what happens and all that. And it's like, what has changed since then? Nothing. So
no. It reminds me of the people that when the mask mandate happened and people that are listening, I'm hearing impaired, lip reading, it's my main form of communication. People would send me links of, oh, check it out, they're wearing clear masks, or here's a site for clear masks. And I'm like, well, did you buy one? Because I need to read your lips. So why are you sending this to me if you're not going to contribute to help my difficulty?
Yeah, look what some people are doing. Not me, but look what some people are doing. Isn't this great? Yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Thanks. I mean, you should get one. Why do I need to wear it? I need to read your lips.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
You don't have a problem understanding me.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what made you kind of want to get into like entertainment and all that?
Oh, when I was 5 years old, I saw Michael Jackson on TV. He did Thriller and he did Billie Jean. And I don't know, I was so hooked on his performance and so I felt comfortable like dancing. I'm like, wow, this is one guy who demand the attention of the room, and he's by himself, and off stage he's so shy, but as soon as he get on stage it's like an alter ego. It's like wearing a mask. Like nobody knows who you are, and you can be everything that you want to be and have this different confidence. And that's why I came up with Sea Bunny. Sea Bunny is my stage name, because people will be like, you're such a different person when you're on stage. And I used to be extremely shy and everything. So people, when I tell them that story, they're like, you used to be shy? I'm like, yeah, I couldn't look at you in the eye. But I love performing because, again, it shows people that I'm more than a hearing impaired girl. And performing with our bodies, I don't have to communicate with you verbally or with my hearing. You can just see on my body what feeling I'm going through. And that's why I'm being a DJ now too. It's fun because you just see me having fun. And anytime I play the music, I'm just going all over the place. When I go to the club and I'm dancing on the dance floors, I don't know who these people are. We don't say one word to each other, but I have the best time ever because it's all through nonverbal communication, dancing, high-fiving. Performing really opened up an outlet for me and helped me become very comfortable in my skin.
That's good. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, and no, where do you? Because being a girl and just and you say you do hip hop dancing and certain things. Where do you kind of fall in the middle of being like tasteful and overly sexual and all these things? Because
I stand my ground. I am not sexual. So when I'm more of like pop and rock and Michael Jackson style type. But when I auditioned for TPain, I never did a sexual move, and he still hired me despite that. But cool. there's an integrity factor. Like I have people be like, you can look up the jobs that you want to audition for, and you can get a hint for it. And I had people in other aspects of my career say, "Hey, can you wear this?" do this, and I know it's very like sexual and it's not part of my brand, and I say no. Like sometimes the integrity factor just has to come into play. But when I just real quick, when I auditioned for TPain, we all had a freestyle for him, and I was the last to go. And he said to everybody, "I want you to step outside the box and create your own box and show me who you are." So I wanted to show him that I'm going to dance my ass off for you and work so hard. So when I was freestyling by myself, I felt the grace of God saying, like, dance in the glory of me, you could do this. So I go up to the front and I take my hearing aid out and I slammed it. I like dropped it in front of him so TPain could see that I'm going to dance with you without my hearing aid on now. And I got a count from the speaker that was right next to us. And I just started freestyling without really knowing what the hell was going on. And somehow every move just clicked and everybody was up on their feet. And it was such a magical moment because you don't want me to have your job. There's one spot open. And everybody realized that we'll all miss this, but dancing like made us come together and have that common ground. And then at the end of the day, when TPain filled up the spots with the girls, all of a sudden he said, "Yo, T-Bunny, get on up here." He created a spot on his roster just for me. And I've been very blessed to share my story, telling people that your disability doesn't have to stop you.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I only ask because, again, you see tons of what you do, hip hop, dance, and all these different things, but it always ends up in the twerking and all this other shit.
Well, I cannot twerk.
Okay.
They actually tried to teach me how to twerk for days. I remember crying, like, I can't twerk. And I said to them, I never did a sexual move for you. I never twerked for you. I never did anything. But yeah, it's not every music video is a Cardi B music video. There's still some choreography out there.
No, I know. And again, but that's awesome on your point because, like I said, you're a pretty girl and you, I'm sure, have been, as you said, to be pressured into that stuff because that's the stuff that sells. There's people that go on Instagram, they call them Instagram models, and they don't really do anything. They just go on there and they, move their hair
with
and
their filters.
They push their tits out and they'll just go like, "Hey, look at me." And there's a lot of like Instagram lives and just lives on Facebook and all these where it's just girls that are just like half naked, but they can't get naked because they'll get kicked off. And they're just playing music and they're not doing anything. They're just playing music and they'll just answer some of their little comments and stuff. And it's like, and then
but
when
people feed into it, that's the problem,
right? But then when you see them actually doing stuff, which is their, like their performance stuff, which is just shaking their ass and just being sexual. And again, there's nothing wrong with being sexual in your life or just, being, if you're a woman and you like your body and you're comfortable with who you are, that's great and that's beautiful. But when it's just all you are known for, even just as you were saying with like Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, there's that one song and, like even Megan Thee Stallion herself, everyone's like, "Oh, she's so great." And it's like, dude, all she talks about is giving head and she shakes her ass. She is very bad for women. Like, I don't care. And again, and I'm sure she's pressured into some of that stuff, but she goes for it. And again, I'm not going to just shit on her, but it's like, that's what these like upcoming talented women are like. When you see someone like Adele come out, it's like, okay, we know off rip that she's super talented and she supersedes all of it. But like, like when Christina Aguilera came out. Christina Aguilera has one of the greatest voices ever, but she was overshadowed by Britney Spears, who had no talent. I'm gonna
say she can't sing, but she can definitely dance.
Right, she can dance, but her talent was so shitty, but she was sexual. She had songs where she's just like completely naked with diamonds all over. And again, whatever. But that sold more than Christina Aguilera, who can hit a note and can actually, put goosebumps on your arms.
I feel like a lot of it is once you get up there and you notice there's a turmoil in people's behaviors, and you started to hear people are saying like, "Guys, it's not what you think it is." And I don't believe in Illuminati or anything like that, but I do believe that once you get a taste of fame, like they're just puppet masters. Saying, "Look at this, you're gonna like this." Like I was a professional wrestler, and I look at the entertainment industry as they're writing their own script. They're gonna tell you who you should like,
right?
And I think that's why Christina Aguilera never got like the same fair point as Britney. Christina is awesome. I'm so happy she's like back on TikTok. It's so great to see. Like, this is what I noticed as a DJ. Everybody still loves everything from early 2000s to all the way to the 80s because it was still like authentic, and it wasn't like the thing that we thought was crazy back then had nothing on Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. You know what I mean? Like, we thought Britney was controversial because she just ripped off her like clothes with stuff still under. So it's just a weird society of people think it's very complicated. So I've always wanted to. I used to want to be like always famous and whatnot, but at the same time, I'm like, there's a lot we don't know that's just going on up there. And like temptation, and why a lot of them are led to drugs and alcohol and suicide. Like, the grass isn't always greener on the other side.
No, of course. No, I was more using it for you as a compliment because, like I said, you.
But I do want to get my message out there to everybody to know that I think you and I are very stern on this. Is that just because we have a disability doesn't mean we're that stereotype in your mind that we can't do anything and that we're babies. We want to be independent adults with just the right tools and just give us a fair shot like we would give everybody else. That is it.
Right. What did you do with wrestling?
Oh, I was a professional. I had so much to it. So, when I started, 2015, I went to a professional wrestling school. And I trained and I did matches. So it's similar to like, John Cena and
right. I know.
Roman Reigns type of stuff.
Right.
And with my character, it was cool because I was the hip hop dancing, Sea Bunny. So I would do like the rock bottom on somebody, and then I would hit the rope. But instead of going for the rock elbow, I would do like a dance move and then hit the elbow. And we did like play on spots with my hearing problem. Like, I was really trying to make a great character using my disability and my dance movement. I had 2 tryout matches with the WWE. It didn't go anywhere, but I had a lot of fun performing and I met a lot of people, and I was really driven to be the first hearing impaired woman to be signed to the WWE. But 8 concussions later, I had to kind of hang up my boots.
I was going to ask you if you got hurt a lot, but yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they had that one guy.
Not as fake as you think it is.
Yeah. They had that one guy years ago named Zach Gowen. He had one leg. And so they've had people in there with...
Wait, Zach?
What'd you say?
Wait, he had one leg?
Yeah, he had one leg. Yeah, he fought Brock Lesnar.
What was his name again?
Zach Gowen.
Yeah, I met him. He was good. It's stuff like that. It's people like that, like, it brings a new light to people. Like, oh, like, he has one leg and he's freaking wrestling? Like, yeah, like, you can't do it with 2 legs.
Yeah, he fought Brock Lesnar and everything. Yeah,
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, no, yeah, like I said, it's possible. Yeah, it's good that you constantly like pushing the envelope of, So what's kind of like with your TikTok when you started that? Like, what's kind of your message behind all your videos? Because I haven't checked any out yet.
I would like for my message to be I just want to be a fun dancer and a DJ, but that doesn't go out. I went viral in one day with 1 million views when I posted. I had a panic attack at like Stop and Shop. I was working for Instacart, and at this point it's already like 5 months into the mask mandate, and I was just with the mask mandate, it made me feel like I was the most disabled woman ever because I lost my survival tool of reading lips. Nobody had patience. It was like having your disability times 10, and you're like, what the hell? But I ended up having a panic attack because you have to order on the order. I had to order from the counter, but it was 6 feet apart, and you had a mask on, and you couldn't write anything down. And I just started crying. I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I filmed a snippet of my panic attack to show people what we're going through, and that went viral. So since then, most of my content have always been defending people with disabilities, defending children that are being masked up right now. And I try to tell people, and this is where it gets I've never experienced so much ableism in my life. Yes, it's almost 2022. I'm sorry, guys. The pandemic is over. But back at the time, I'm trying to protect you, but you won't meet me halfway to help me. And people say, like, it's better than dying. And I'm like, you don't live my life. Please don't tell me, like, what's better and what's not. And I verbalize on TikTok, guys, this is what we're struggling with. And I connect with so many people saying, oh, my God, my daughter went through what you went through. Oh, my God, my kid is going through that in school. Like, I think it makes people feel nice to know that somebody who has a disability saying this is not right.
Yeah, no, well, not again.
So that's most of my content. But at the same time, I still show my dancing and my DJ to show them that I'm a regular person, just like everybody else. I still want to have fun.
Right. Yeah, that's what I've said. That the point of this podcast is to make it so there's so many people out there who are going through this, whether they feel like they can say it or not. But just to know that there's voices out there saying, "Hey, yeah, I'm just like you, and you don't feel alone," because there are a lot of us. I'm sure you have. We all felt alone at one point or another.
Still do. I mean, I still do. I think what people don't get is like it's not just being alone of not having friends and stuff. It's being alone when we're out in public, and there's so many dilemmas in our head that we're dealing with. Like, if I go out to eat with people, there's so many conversations going on. I don't know why people are laughing. What's the punchline of it? So you feel alone in your head, like, oh my God, like I'm the only one that is struggling just to have the same good time as everybody else that I want to have.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we can kind of close it soon, but like, what do you want to promote your TikTok and whatever else?
Yeah. So, I have a website. It's called beingbunny.com. I'm a professional speaker. Also on that there's a documentary that was filmed on my life. We won two film festival awards. It's about 15 minutes. I would really love people to check it out. It's about my journey having a hearing problem, but using performance to get me through it. So if you want to actually see more visuals of what I go through, please check that documentary out. I'm hoping sometime in the future when this pandemic is officially over, that I could be a professional speaker and go to all the schools. But so my website is beingbunny.com, and then on TikTok, I'm beingbunny2 with the number 2, and feel free to DM me, and I'm always down to have conversation and understand what you go through and give advice and vice versa.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Do you have any advice for anybody who I always let the guests give advice for whoever, like the young version of you where they're kind of dealing with, kind of coping with their hearing problem?
Yes, I mean, understand that it's going to be, nothing is impossible. It's going to be okay. You have a right to be angry and a right to be upset. You don't have to always feel like you're this inspirational, strong, positive person with your disability. Pick a goal, pick your passion, and tunnel vision. Just focus on that. Because along the way of you focusing on your goal, that's going to mentally keep you on this earth longer, and you're going to develop more skills and tools that you didn't plan on doing. And understand that make sure you don't get in victim. It's okay to have a bad day. We all have mental health issues, but you're not a victim. 100% understand that you're not a victim. You're be a survivor, and you deserve the same rights as everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for coming on and doing this.
Thanks for having me.
It was fun. Hope you still want to talk outside the podcast, be friends.
Oh, yeah. We have definitely a common interest. We're going to have to talk on the political stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we could talk as much as you want. Like I said, if you ever need someone to talk to, please reach out.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate you doing this podcast. the more people hear our stories and understand we're just like everybody else. We just have a different way of doing it. I think we'll all come together, and hopefully we'll make some changes in the future.
Hopefully. Well, I need you, you need me, and we need many others. So let's kind of keep going forward, and hopefully we do something different.
Amen, Seth. You have a great day. Thank you so much.
Yep, you too.
Take care.
Bye. All right, guys, that was fun. I wanted to make sure I hung up there. I did. Right. Okay, well, now a bus is going by with its squeaky brakes. Bullet is here. Bullet, you want to say anything? Okay, he's going to purr. So he's here chilling with me. I was petting him. And, yeah, guys, I'm happy to get back out there. I know, like I said in the beginning, I feel like I haven't done one of these in a while because it really has been a while for me because I have so many done in the vault. And but it's good. I recommend any podcasters out there when you're doing a show, try to get a bunch of episodes done. Once you kind of get your feet wet and you actually kind of know what you're doing and you have a grasp of the content you're going to be putting out and all that, try to get episodes done. Now, in my case, I have to get people to interview, so I have to rely on others, and so that could be frustrating, but you know, if you're one of these people that's kind of wishy-washy mentally where you're just battling and there's days you don't want to do things, or you may run into some problems where I might have trouble finding certain guests at certain points in your life or whatever, make sure you have content done ahead of time so that way, you know, if you're putting out 1 a week, 2 a week, make sure you have enough there so that if you go on a hiatus of not wanting to do anything, you could just put it out, do the show notes, hit publish, and you're done. And you don't have to have the willpower or the withdrawal of wanting to go and look for more guests or do more new content. Maybe you have, what they call writer's block, but for podcasting, you don't have any feel of what your content's going to be. If you have stuff done already, you don't have to worry about that. Just make sure you don't take too long and then you run out of content. But yeah, that's kind of, if I have any thoughts or any advice for anybody who's trying to do it. But yeah, I don't want to keep this going. I hope you guys enjoyed her. She was a very bubbly person, and she's really doing a lot of great things. And I glad to become friends with her. Just met her the other day, and so I hit the wrong button. But I'll play here. We're gonna get to the outro. Yeah. All right, guys. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.